Okay, the phone died, but we are back live for our last two presentations of the day. So here we go. All right, guys, here we go. John, just beware. Now we have booby traps.
Hey, take off your high heels, John.
Just be careful. Just be careful. Okay, so I stood up here this morning and shared what I knew about Dr. Hill's life, and I shared his mantras, and I shared the 6 areas of life, and I did it from the heart. I know you felt it, but then I played a video. And what did the video do? It moved you. It moved you way more than I could ever move you. That is the power of what this man does. He made that video. So I am super honored to introduce him to you. So our next speaker is a master of storytelling, someone who understands the profound power that stories have to connect us, inspire action, and drive success. John Nicely, the founder of Story on Purpose, has spent years helping individuals and businesses uncover and share their authentic stories to achieve strategic goals and create meaningful impact. With a rich background in journalism and a deep understanding of human connection, John knows how to turn everyday experiences into transformative lessons. Today, he'll reveal how the stories that are often hidden in plain sight can revolutionize your business and your personal life. It's time to tap into the power of storytelling in ways you never imagined. AI wrote that. Please join me in welcoming my friend and just a guy that I just adore, John Nicely.
Thank you, Sandy, and it's a pleasure and a pinch me moment to be up here. I was at my first Eagle Summit 3 years ago, just in awe of the people I was with, the vast experiences, the vast stories that I was hearing. So here I am today. This is pretty cool. A business advisor of mine said to me, and I wish this was like years and years and years ago, but it wasn't that long ago. And he said to me, John, you're telling the stories of other businesses and leaders, and you're doing a crappy job of telling your own business story. Ouch. He was right, though. And I had another mentor of mine who saw me give a presentation to a bunch of manufacturing leaders. And I felt pretty good about the presentation and had some people said nice things and nodded their head. But afterwards he said, John, you got to tell more stories. Dang it. You're right. I do. Why is that? Why is it that the chief storyteller of Story on Purpose can sometimes struggle to tell his own story? Why is that? I think it's for a few reasons. One, I'm a business owner, and I'm not immune to what we all inherently default to. And that is a true belief and passion that our product will positively impact you. So I'm going to tell you about my product. Or our core values are real. We mean these core values. So I'm going to tell you what the core values are. And I'm going to expect that you're going to hear it from me. And because I know I mean them, you're going to think that I mean them too. And it's going to mean something to you. We oftentimes, especially those of us who are so passionate about our cause or what we do and why we do it, we expect the audience to understand it and believe me, right? Trust me. Yeah. I know my product's going to help, and I've heard it. I've heard it from other people, so I can just tell you about it, and you're going to believe it, and you're going to try it. We live our core values. I know that. I see it done. When I'm interviewing a candidate, I'm going to tell them about our core values, and they're going to get it. They're going to see, oh, this is a great place to work. I can trust this person. Top talent would love to be a part of our culture. Why don't people inherently take us at our word that our product can actually help them when we know it can, or that our organization is a great place to work, is a great environment for you to grow and improve yourself and your family? We're going to do an interactive quiz here. I want people to throw out some guesses. If you already know this or somehow you saw this, don't shout the answer. Bob Alvarez, I'm looking at you. So guess the Fortune 100 business. These are the 4 core values prominently displayed by this company. Communication, we have an obligation to communicate. Respect, we treat others as we would like to be treated. And note, I like what they do here in that they put a little context to it. Not very deep context, but they do give some context. Integrity, we work with customers and prospects openly, honestly, sincerely. And excellence, we are satisfied with nothing less than the very best in everything we do. So a few guesses from the crowd, please. Fortune 100 company.
Enron.
Anybody else?
I was going to say the same.
You guys are right. It is Enron. Normally, the most common guess I get is AT&T, for whatever reason. I don't know why. Maybe it's the communication. Okay, someone was thinking. Yeah, Bruce, you've heard me say this, right? Cheater. All right.
And I didn't tell it.
You're just smart. Okay, yeah, you too. I got my eye on you too.
Right?
But Enron had these 4 core values, and so the point, of course, is not that there's anything wrong with those core values. Those are solid values that every business should strive to, and I would argue they are very watered down, like they're pretty bland. There's nothing too inspiring about those core values, but there's nothing wrong with them. But the Enrons of the world shout those core values too. And so we hear them say it, then we hear them say it, and these words are the same words that I'm hearing from this person and this person, and I knew this person wasn't trustworthy. So it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to assume, if you say those core values, that you're Enron, but I'm also not going to, we naturally are skeptical as humans. We've been burned before. We've been burned by the advertising campaigns. We've been burned by the products that say, you're going to love this product, and I believe this person, I'm going to try it. So, can anyone think of a product like that they've tried? That maybe you went to a town and you saw a billboard and you thought, oh, I'm going to go to that place because of what they said on their billboard. And then you were gravely disappointed because the experience didn't match the words that they promised. Also, easy again, look at that. All right, watch this clip here. This is really important. So this is from the movie Elf, and if anyone remembers, later in the movie he takes his dad to this place and he's so excited to see his dad try this cup of coffee and he tastes it and it's gross. But just the words, this is the world's best cup of coffee. So many claims out there. There's so many words out there. So even if we have the world's best cup of coffee and we believe it, oftentimes we make the mistake of thinking, well, if I just say that, they're going to believe it because I believe it. And I see this in company after company after company, and especially for whatever reason in financial services and actually wealth management. It's like, well, we're different from the other guys. We put our customers first. Our customers, everything centers around them. I'm sorry, but that is just white noise, right? Because we hear it over and over and over again. And it doesn't mean that they don't mean it. It doesn't mean that they don't actually put their customers first, but it doesn't move the needle with us because we are inherently skeptical. So Gary Baker of Undivided Wealth has a program that is holistic and works with people's lives, but he also has a program called the People-Centric Movement that he and I partner on. WashU students, St. Louis MBA students have been a part of it. Some major companies around the St. Louis area have been a part of it as well. We get together quarterly with business leaders, and we do something that Sovereign's Capital does, where we have the business leaders, we all learn from each other. How can we truly be a people-centric organization? What does that look like? It's easy to say, hard to do. Bob Alvarez, some others in the room are part of that group. So we know it as people-centric, but as I was telling the story to a close contact friend of mine, he's a national sales leader for a national company, and I was telling him about people-centric, and I'm excited about it, and just a little bit, and he goes, oh, that sounds like a bunch of corporate BS. And I'm like, No, it's the people-centric movement. We believe it. We live it. But he's right. It does sound like a bunch of corporate BS. Because they're just words, and we've all been burned by that. We've all been burned by the corporate BS. So for me to expect someone to just think that they're going to hear it and believe it, it's just naive. I was working with a sales leader for a company from the St. Louis area, and this company does packaging solutions. They do pack the boxes and such, and they have these solutions for pretty big companies like Walmart. She was telling me this great story after we were doing our work together to really narrow in on their effective stories. And she was telling about this big win they had for the Walmart team, how it made the Walmart team look really good internally, and it delivered the package to the customers, and everyone was happy. And a cool part about this company is they employ capable adults with disabilities. It's got a great story. But as she shared the story of the big win that they had for their customer, it's a for-profit business, by the way, so this is not a nonprofit. It's a for-profit business. And she shared the big win, and I said, wow, this is a great story. I said, how often when you're talking to potential customers do you use that story? And she looked at me sheepishly and said, never. I was like, what? You don't use that story? She said, no, I've been approaching them with the good that we're doing with these capable adults and how they can deliver timely results and reliable results. It's like you gotta tell it through a true story. So that story was no longer hidden in plain sight. It was there all along, but now she was empowered with this real story that she can tell. The results are there for a major customer, and she can incorporate the great work that her team does with the capable adults with disabilities. And I was also working with a mergers and acquisitions group that specializes in dental practices out in Colorado Springs. And we're working with the leadership team, going through our instant clarity process and getting real clear on the way that they help dentists maximize the value of their practice, whether they're going to sell or take out the cash value and such. And one of the advisors, as we're going through this, he starts telling a story of a dentist who had just called him in the last month or so, in tears. The dentist was because he never thought that he was going to be able to offer his wife the retirement they can now have together. He just couldn't make sense of financially how they could achieve that goal. But this M&A advisor and his team worked together and found a great solution and plan for this dentist. And they was able to sell his practice, optimize it, and retire. So I asked the rest of the team, I said, how many of you have heard this story before? And not one of them raised their hands. So the guy who had the client relationship, he got the phone call. He heard about the life-changing impact that their group had had on that dentist, but the rest of the team hadn't heard it. So think about the impact for the person working at that M&A advisory doing menial tasks that aren't client-facing, but what impact does it have on them when they can hear the real life-changing impact their work is having on families? In his book, Give and Take, Adam Grant wrote, "The perception of impact serves as a buffer against stress, enabling employees to avoid burnout and maintain their motivation and performance." The perception of impact. Hearing stories of how they are positively impacting people as an organization is huge. And that's a story that was no longer hidden in plain sight for this M&A group. By being intentional, going through a process, and getting the stories out that they can now tell throughout the organization. This is a Forbes article from 2014. If you don't tell your story, someone else will. And this is because we as humans, our brains are story formed. And I'm going to make assumptions about something going on unless I am told differently. We just naturally do it. It's a natural thing. And so this is certainly the case within any business, whether it's customer facing or team facing. The corporate leadership comes out of their 3-day offsite and comes back. All of the employees who knew that you were on your 3-day offsite, they're forming stories in their head about what's going on, and you make one comment about something going forward, and they're forming stories behind it. So you need to be clear in communication and telling stories of what's going on, and that's what's going to actually move the needle with your team. The story will prove it. We're in the show me state, right? Show me, prove it. So as I was looking to make an exit after 17 years as a news anchor reporter, I was the morning anchor at CBS News in Seattle, and I was having intentional conversations with people to find out where I could land in business. I always wanted to be in business outside of the journalism aspect. And I was having lunch with an alumni group member from Microsoft, and he's like, "What do you love to do?" I said, "I just love storytelling. I don't care about being on TV or whatever. I just love to tell a great story, put it together." And he said, "Oh, well, we have a storytelling team at Microsoft." And I said, "What? You have a storytelling team? That sounds made up." I'm picturing the CEO sitting around with the employees reading a picture book or something, but no, that's not what it was. It was a team that was independent of marketing, communications, and PR, but worked with them. But it was all about finding and telling authentic stories to promote retention and recruiting and promote the Microsoft brand. And at the same time, after I got to know Shane, so Steve Clayton is the chief storyteller, and I just saw his title's officially changed to VP of Communication Strategy now. But he has a TED Talk on storytelling. So does Shane Meeker, the Procter & Gamble chief storyteller. I was very fortunate that both of these guys took time to teach me some things. And this is a crazy pinch me moment thing for me. 5 years ago, through a connection, I was talking to a marketing guy at Centene Corporation. And I was still in Seattle, but I was talking to him. He's in St. Louis, about my transition out of TV. And he goes, "I should introduce you to the Procter & Gamble chief storyteller, Shane Meeker." So this guy, Dave Menifee from Centene, connects me to Shane Meeker, had some great conversations. Just this week, I'm doing a storytelling project for Gatewood Wealth Solutions. And as part of that, I'm interviewing 9 of their ideal clients that they've been working with that they want more of. And on that list of clients is Dave Menifee. The guy who introduced me to the Procter & Gamble chief storyteller 5 years ago, I'm going to get to interview as part of a storytelling project now. So I'm just like mind blown. So pretty neat. So one of the companies that I've been fortunate to work with as well is Shapiro, and Bob Alvarez back here is the president of Shapiro. They are a sustainability company, a 120-year-old sustainability company. So 120 years ago, do you think people were thinking and talking about sustainability? It's certainly not the way they do today, but what Bob has realized is the impact that they're having on the marketplace. They're not just an industrial scrap metal company, it's part of the business, but they have real blockchain data proven solutions of major impact that they're having in manufacturing for ESG goals, sustainability. So what are they up against? There is skepticism against ESG. And for good reason. There are companies that do what's called greenwashing. This is an article from just 2 days ago. Vanguard Investments fined by the Australian government over ESG claims, an $8.9 million fine. Now, of course, this is an investment group that's being fined over this, but there's ESG claims all over the place that make all of us skeptical. The Enrons of the world, right? But what it does is provide opportunity for you to stand out. And how do you stand out? You prove it through data-driven solutions. And one of the ways that Bob and his team can prove it is they have a blockchain data component to track the impact they're having. And with an international HVAC company that they've done some solutions for, at one site in Georgia, that site had 409 loads of waste on average, and Shapiro reduced it to 57 loads with 0 going to the landfill. That's a powerful story. And with a revenue generation out of the waste recycling that Shapiro was able to offer through their sustainability program. That story is going to move the needle to the CFO of the next Fortune 100 company that has to meet ESG goals and not get accused of greenwashing. Another thing that I love about the challenge with Bob has with his team is they're a 120-year-old company that's an industrial scrap company with 8 plants, and you got the guy who's been working in a plant for 30 years, who hears, we're a sustainability company now? bullshit, you know, like, yeah, right. What we do in our storytelling with the team is tell how each team member plays a part of this. And so one of these stories that we were doing, and this isn't a video story, but we narrowed down the solution they had for a customer and identified these truck drivers who were making Saturday night runs over the Appalachian Mountains with this material to produce this great result for their customer. So now this truck driver is getting called out in this great win for the customer, and we highlight the core values that were lived out by the company in that story. So this is where you can really dial in your storytelling. You got the win for a customer, but now let's reverse engineer it, and what are the other key components that were a part of the story that need to be highlighted for our team's sake, for the next customer's sake. And this is a great example of a really interesting scenario that happened with Shapiro. They were presenting at the ESG conference in Denver in the last couple months, and the video production wing of my business recorded some content from their people, and I want you to hear, it's important to hear what they had to say.
What I really expected to learn was just the things that our clients, potential clients, current clients, what they're dealing with right now, what their struggles are, and just learning in a space where we're able to find out through good conversations.
Sometimes it's a struggle.
We were going to be surrounded by a bunch of people. Oh, geez, they don't think about this. I'm talking to you. Okay.
Oh, hell.
It's getting better, I think.
What was the question? Yeah. I have no idea if I answered that.
Oh, very smart people, yes.
Why do you not think so?
Yeah, you're gonna ace this.
I'm a really smart person.
Yeah, how do you realize now?
We always make people look good. That's what we do.
What did I learn?
Yes, I felt very, as the Pareto chart goes, there's a lot of really smart people, and we're here learning a whole bunch now, so.
Got me a little lost.
The longer I talk, the worse it usually gets. I'll get his both lost here in just a minute.
I might make it a little PC for the camera, and not be so harsh, but I'm not gonna lie.
So the biggest thing here was I'm hoping to expand our network. At the end of the day, Circular can't do it all on its own. So we got to find partners, friends, and people who want to collaborate to find the solutions that we're trying to provide for our customers.
Crush it.
People are very eager to learn about specific solutions. There are a lot of great frameworks and strategies out there, but they really want to see them implemented in real time with real manufacturers and see the outcomes of them.
You might have a speaking career. And I'm not just chalking you up. I'm being serious. You're pretty good at talking.
Thanks.
Have more impact in our communities, have less impact on the environment.
That's it, that's an ace.
Right. It's not, but that's all right.
Easy.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're a crusher.
All right, that was a blooper reel that their marketing director had us put together, and they're going to show it at a leadership meeting, I think, coming up. But last night, I didn't have this as part of my presentation, but Bob goes, John, that blooper reel is so important because we don't even waste the outtakes. That's how big of a sustainability company. Yes! Nailed it. All right, when we're talking about storytelling as I'm talking about it, that word itself means something different to different people. What we're talking about is strategic storytelling. How do you effectively communicate to specific audiences? We heard all about personas, right? We want to make sure that the audience we need to reach hears the story the way they need to hear it in order for them to engage. We don't just want to entertain. We don't want empty social media likes. You can get 5,000 likes and it doesn't mean much. It feels good, but it doesn't really move the needle. What we're talking about is you got to start with who. Who is that persona? Who are we needing to speak to, and who do we need to take action based on our stories? And I apologize to Simon Sinek. We're not starting with why. He's got a great book, great program, Start With Why. He's not happy about it. You can look at his face. He's like, nicely. So we're not starting with why. We are getting really clear on our ideal audience or audiences, who we need to reach, And then getting clear on how they engage with content, because that is key. And then we can start doing some effective storytelling. This is a great company that I've been working with, Elevate Outdoor, $10 million plus business that does high-end landscaping. And they are moving into new markets. They got a Kansas City market, a New York market now, and they have a goal as a team to be in all 50 states. One of the co-owners, who's the VP of sales, was giving a big presentation to the team to talk about this strategy and engage with us to go through our instant clarity process with the leadership team. How do we best tell this story to the team? Because we've got $15 an hour bricklayers, essentially, and laborers, and how do we help them see that they're part of this growth story, as opposed to just, oh great, the owners want another Corvette. That's the story that the employees will tell themselves unless you tell them differently. So as we went through our process, we identified, okay, who do we want to reach in our team? We want to reach highly motivated employees with an ambition to advance. Okay, so now we've got the persona of our own team members and then recruits. So now we can reverse engineer the way we tell this story. It's not a different story, but the way we tell it. And so we started looking at, okay, how does this growth provide opportunities for our people to have more advancement in our company? And so we went through this and had the framework laid out, and I asked the 10 people in the room to start listing off stories of advancement and how those people advanced. And we come to find out the general manager of the new New York location started as a $15 an hour laborer 11 years ago. It's like, boom. That story is no longer hidden in plain sight. It's not that they didn't know that story. They knew that. But man, now they realize the gold mine they had in telling the story to all of their laborers today, all of their future laborers. Look, our general manager of our New York territory started as a $15 an hour laborer, and at this company, we've got opportunities for you to advance, and here's how. And now you're going to attract the right people, retain the right people, and advance the right people. And so they empowered their leadership team. Now they start their meetings, their weekly leadership meetings, with stories of advancement, and they're true stories. So we created a whole list that they can go through. All right, so that story, no longer hidden in plain sight. They've got a new strategy to use it. And you know, as you think about doing this and creating a structured routine, I want to talk about the way a couple companies I greatly admire are doing it. One of the companies I've worked with is Cosmos Corporation. In fact, Derek Kassebaum, one of the owners, is the one who introduced me to Tom Hill back 3.5 years ago. So it's got a full circle component there. But what they do, they are a purpose-driven, values-driven pet products, pet manufacturing company. And I've been there, I've seen their culture, it is legit. And one of the ways they use authentic storytelling is in a 5-minute meeting daily that all employees are going to tune into, and a different leader is tasked with telling the story of how one of their team members lived out a core value. So they have their core values, and this is one of those servant leadership someone mentioned earlier. It's a great core value. It's their #1 core value. And they put specific language to it. What does servant leadership mean to them? They say, be the one who makes the coffee. If the coffee's out in the break room, whether you're the CEO or the janitor, doesn't matter, be the one to make the coffee. And so now they can tell those stories of how employees not just made the coffee, but did things that weren't necessarily part of their job description. So servant leadership, and then that creates a flywheel because they tell these stories on a regular basis and they get to hear them from each other. And it's a shout out component. The employees feel valued and seen. And that's all through stories, but it's strategic. They're highlighting core values. I've had a chance to partner with the Better Business Bureau on highlighting some stories of companies that are doing business the right way, and I want to showcase a couple of them because they have specific creative ways that we can all take away from.
At every one of our monthly staff meetings, we go around the table to our technicians, to our office team, and we ask them to share a story from the prior month about when they put doing the right thing into action. And we hear some just wonderful examples, some big, some small, but all of them just bring a tear to my eye. Just this morning, we had an example about a half hour ago of a team member doing the right thing at a house. We had bid yesterday for a full furnace air conditioner replacement, and we bid on certain assumptions. We got out there, and the team member discovered that there was really more to it than we noticed when we did the project, but he didn't flinch. He just immediately went about his business, called the office to let us know of some additional materials that he needs, and we're going to do the right thing for the client. They're going to get the full and complete, proper, code-compliant, best practice job. They're going to get it for less money than if we had noticed it in the first place, but we're going to have done the right thing for the client.
So I love that. Smart House Heating and Cooling, about a $5 million business. They've got about 20 employees. And so in their case, they're having these monthly all-staff meetings. That's not going to work for every business, but they're doing what works for them. And so they all sit around the room and talk about how someone did the right thing. It's their number one core value. They want to create that flywheel of impact and have other people here. And what that does is encourage the next behavior toward that way. But it is through storytelling that they do that. All right, this next one is a very different type of business. This is a financial services company, and I want you to hear about their program, and I think a lot of you can take away something from this concept.
We created something called a virtue chip. When an employee sees another employee behaving in that fashion, they're allowed to award a chip. The manager sends an email around to everyone in the organization explaining what was awarded and why. We had a veteran who had walked to our branch here in Pear. He got here after the branch had closed. But one of our customer service reps saw him at the front door, asked if they could help, and he explained that he had walked here quite a distance to cash a check. But the cash drawers had already been balanced and closed and locked for the day. So what the employee did was reach into her own wallet and found enough cash to cover the check, gave him the cash and took the check. And then the following morning, she went ahead and cashed the check and deposited it in the bank. That's the kind of service that is an example of why a virtue chip was awarded.
So Dwight, the president, has been there for about 6 years, and when he told me when he got in there, the culture was a bit of a mess, and he had this idea for the virtue chip. And he brought the team together to determine what virtue meant, and each letter has a specific category, and it's on the chip. So there was team buy-in to begin with. And as part of the program, an employee gives a shout out to another employee for doing something. The manager has to approve it. They get the chip. And then if they get 5 chips, they get a $100 gift card, and some other recognition. And this is arguably my favorite part of their program is the manager writes an email to the entire company telling the story of why the person got the virtue chip. And so there's just so many different moments of this flywheel effect for the culture. It's an employee giving a shout out to another employee for doing something that matches their core values. And then it's a manager acknowledging the employees through a story that's now told to everyone, and it creates this effect. Now, Dwight, the president, will tell you, when he rolled it out, do you think it was met with cheers and applause? No. It's like when I told my national sales friend, people-centric. Bunch of corporate BS, right? So we got to anticipate that that's going to be the reaction, but as we authentically live and prove and then reinforce through storytelling, it's going to continue to have a tremendous impact. So we want you to take away some tangible ways that you can find the stories that are hidden in plain sight in your business and use them for whatever your strategic objectives are, whether it's customer facing, to your strategic partners, or to your team as you build and develop your culture. I'm John Nicely with Story on Purpose, and I encourage you to tell your story on purpose.
I know.
My story and I'm sticking to it. That's my story. That's my story. No, I can't prove it. That's my story and I'm sticking
Are you ready, Eddie? Dr. Weller, you don't want a podium, right?
Yeah. I'm not going over.
All right, Dr. Weller is our last speaker of the day. And you guys, I am not an expert event planner by any stretch. This is not what I do. But I know after a long day of listening to a lot of people talk, you want to finish with some fire. And this man is here to do it. I know you're up to it, though. By the way, did somebody lose their glasses? They're cute. Okay. Oh, yeah, they do look like Dan's, don't they? All right, I'm going to set it over here. All right. Did John give you the clicker?
Yes.
Okay. I've got this script, but I don't even want to read it because this man is my friend. All these people are friends, but this guy I just love. And he texts me in the morning, quotes, funny things, just lights up my day, and he drives a Jeep. That's a good thing. All right, Dr. Weller. Our next speaker is someone whose energy and passion for health and wellness are truly contagious. Dr. Eddie Weller, founder of Getting Weller, is not only a dynamic chiropractor, which he hates to be called, but a transformational speaker who believes that our bodies are designed to heal and that the mind holds the key to unlocking your full health potential. Is that alcohol? I'm a little thirsty. Dr. Weller will be guiding us through the fascinating world of the vagus nerve. I guarantee you he's going to make it fun. The body's hidden powerhouse and how it impacts everything from our stress levels to our overall well-being. His approach blends science with practical steps, helping us understand how our thoughts can change our bodies for the better or worse. Get ready to discover how to harness the power of your mind and body to promote healing and vitality. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Eddie Weller.
Thank you. Check. Can we hear me okay? Yes? Yes. Okay, good. A little nervous, not going to lie to you. I've been sharing. Now, when I say nervous, we should be nervous when we share what it is that we do. I've been teaching this for 26 years and 12,000 patients later, and they still get that little bubble in you. And that little bubble should fire you up. It really reinforces my why. And when I think about how my life has changed by what I'm going to share, I was like, wow, what if somebody else is hearing maybe online, hi everybody, or somebody here is asking for an answered prayer, like I need some help right now. Where do I go? What do I do? And so everything, we have handouts on the table. There's a bunch of different things. There's tape everywhere. We're good? Except that, oh, why did they get left out? We can't leave the good table out here. Let's get another piece of tape and see if we can find it. Sharp piece. That's fine. Let's see what you can find. This is my daughter, my assistant. She's helping out now. Thank you, Julie. Awesome. All right, so how does this work? Here we go. Oh.
Down is up.
Down is up. I was looking through some family portraits and I found one. I was just thinking about what was I thinking then? And just kind of going, what is my life going to look like? And as I was just hanging out and just pondering, I'm like, wow, Eddie, you're probably going to use your hands. And I do use my hands pretty frequently at what it is that I do. It's having a moment with myself. We all had that moment, believe it or not. We're thinking, and we have these two brains that I'm going to be sharing. And so when I looked and I thought how unique this was, I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. What is that? And we all have our own fingerprint, or that's mine, and you'll never have mine. It's so cool. And I'll never have yours. It's so great. So why do we have to do this thing of compare? And when I talk with patients and they're like, can you help somebody with this? Can you help somebody with that? I don't know. You look different on the outside. Your odds are you're different on the inside. And we've been told we're all the same. If I have a headache, I take X. If I have diabetes, I do this. If I'm overweight, I do that. Why is it cookie cutter for each person? And it shouldn't be. And so when I think about healthcare, we really don't have healthcare today. We have disease care. We manage it with an outside-in approach. But my belief system is if the problem comes from the inside, shouldn't the answer? Anyway, so that's what I was thinking when I was in utero, just doing my thing there, just hanging out. And then I thought, wow, I have got this brain. And I remember graduating high school at a 3rd grade reading level, and I had a 10 on my ACT. And so it was 240 detentions in high school. That was that kid. I got voted class clown, best dancer kind of guy. I just like to shake it. And I'm like, what's wrong with your brain, Eddie? Why can't you open a book, close a book? I know what I just read. It just didn't comprehend. I was stuck. Like, why? I'm not illiterate. Like, why didn't it work? And so I think about my brain and why wasn't it working and what happened? And I'm going to share a story why it stopped working. And we all have this problem, by the way. All of us have this problem because we're all human. And so when we have this problem, we have two brains. And on your piece of paper, this diagram absolutely changed my life. That paper in front of you is an explanation of all things in life when it comes to your health. All things. And when I was 23 years old, somebody told me a story and shared that diagram with me, and it went down the rabbit hole with talking about two brains. Like, you have two brains. It's the craziest thing in the world. Like right now, your heart's beating. I promise. So your heart's beating. You stop it. I'll wait. Like, you can't stop it. So why can't you stop it? Something's in control of that. There must be a brain or an intelligence making sure that happens. However, there's another brain that I'm talking to. And that brain is interpreting what I'm saying. You're thinking about me. And you're thinking about maybe I'm hungry, or I've been here long, or my butt hurts, or whatever it is. You're having a conscious thought with certain things that we have, but your body's reacting to our thoughts. And so this intelligence of the brain, what I think about the innate intelligence, this inborn intelligence, I rewrite this. And when I rewrote it, I just went, okay, that's God. Like the creator of all. I don't care what belief system you have, there's an intelligence that made us all. Promise. Remember me in utero? Yeah. When I think of that, then God made this innate brain, but that innate brain is something that keeps us alive. We have no control of that. Before we had conscious thought, there's something keeping us alive. And so when I think of that, I'm like, then from the innate brain, we have a nervous system. So that nervous system's reacting. And isn't it interesting? We call it the nervous system. I don't know why. Are you nervous? But it's a neurologic system. You've heard that term before? Yes? Neurologic system. Neuro, nerve, logic, and the nerve. Who put the logic there? God did. That's how easy this is. And so if we believe that, then if we were made from nothingness, if you will, and then here we are, sup, right? And then here we are. That was a joke. Tough crowd today. You guys are tired. And so when I think of that, we have an educated brain, a thinking brain. But that's secondary. You can actually be born without a brain and be alive. I wrote it in a book. Oh, speaking of books, this is a big thing here. So, you know, the third grade reading level kids. So I wrote a book initially called It Just Makes Sense because as I'm sharing this with you, it totally makes sense. So I'm going to write a book called It Just Makes Sense. And then I wrote a children's book because I think all parents should understand the importance of the nervous system. And then I wrote a book called Infrared Thermography. And I'll talk about that in a second. And that's a textbook. I graduated high school at third grade reading level, and he's writing books. Like, how did that happen? Is it a miracle? Maybe, but it wasn't of me. Something happened to this thing called my brain. And it was, when I met this doctor, I was suffering from irritable bowel. And so from age 17 to 23, I was pretty much living on a toilet. Good times. And so with that, I also, like I said, I struggled in school, so I was having a problem here, and I was having a problem here. IBS stuff. And so why was that, what was wrong with me? So when I met this, I was going to school to be a cop initially, down in Florida. And so I was going to school to be a cop, and I met this girl, started dating her a little bit, and so I said, oh, I gotta go to the bathroom. And she's like, what's wrong? I says, I have irritable bowel. And she's like, okay, what is, okay, we were young, right? 20, 21, 22. And when I think about what was wrong with me, why at 17 did I start having a symptom at junior year in high school? Was it bad cheese fries? Who knows? But then it carried on, it carried on, it carried on, and it gets worse and worse. Your body's doing one of two things. It's working the right way, or it's working the wrong way. Money's the same way. You're making money, you're losing money. You're getting in shape, or you're not getting in shape. It's one or the other, nothing's stagnant. The only thing permanent in life is change. And so if that's the case, then why was my body growing into a problem? And it was. And so I tell the story about the importance of the nervous system. Let's go back, come on. Oh, geez, this is... And here. I saw this article, and it's really interesting. As you see this, yes, I'm jumping off stage, and I'm never on stage. As I talk about the upper cervical spine, this is your neck. And it's called the cervical spine. And so it's really important. We know a guy named Christopher Reeve, Superman. Gets bucked off the horse, hits his head, and breaks his neck. He he couldn't go to the bathroom on his own. His heart started working, his digestion shut off, his arms and legs shut off. Everything shut off at one location. Here, the main of his house. And so when I talk about that, I was like, oh, it's just really interesting. And I saw this article, this awful article, out of Arnold, here in Missouri, but a boy was playing catch, back and forth, getting ready for a game. He turned and looked at his coach, and the other player threw the ball, hit him in the neck, dropped him, and killed him. Now, how would that happen? You just get hit in the neck. What controls here? Heart, lung, and colon. Hit him here, his heart shut off. He died. It's not a toy. And so this is why when you hear this story, oh, you're a chiropractor, can you just rub it? Can you just do that thing, white strap thing, whatever you're doing? All this goofy stuff. We live in here. It's not a toy. And when I met this doctor when I was 23 going to school to be a cop, he's like, Eddie, you understand that the signals from your brain to your body don't send irritable bowel signals? They send life to your body. But if signals get disrupted, neurologic system, the logic going to the system, you get sick in time. I'm like, go on. That made sense. Promote my book. So when I see that, and I'm going, all right, if that made sense to me then, he moved a bone in my neck, changed my life forever. I went from C's and D's to A's and B's. 11 years of college, lost my hair, and here I am. And so again, when I think about all the things that I was growing into, what if I never met him and I was suffering with that? What would I eventually grow into? We all are. We're all going to die. It's coming. But how are you going to die? And that's my way. How are you going to die? You're going to go full out? I want to go pedal to the metal, all in, until the wheels fall off and I go hang out with Christ. Thinking brain gets affected here. I'm telling you, that diagram will change your life. And so when I think about that, if something's squeezing, imagine something squeezing that. It's amazing. And so I want everybody to do this with me. I'm going to time it. I want everybody to find your pulse. 3, 2, 1, count. Stop. Good. Take that number and multiply it by 4. And you should have your number. Easy math. So when that happens, I would bet, give me one. What was your number, Sandy? Remember your number? What was your number? Oh, math is off. What was your number? Somebody give me your number.
I couldn't find my pulse.
I couldn't either.
Oh my
I
God.
couldn't hear.
Oh, second.
62.
52. Wow, you're a monk. What is it? 62? 70. 68. Mine was 64. Okay. So why is it all the same? Why don't we all have the same? We've been told it's supposed to be the same. When we prove it to you, what's normal temperature? Says who? They. We've been told that. Mine's not. Mine's not 98.6. Mine's 97.9. That's normal for me. So when I have a 99 fever, I'm rocking hot. But that's normal for me. The cholesterol should be within this number to this number. Says who? Says the stats of everybody. And see what I mean? You have to think outside of yourself of what's normal for me and what's right for me. And how do you know? There's a way to gauge that. So you have to think about this. I got a winner right here. I've got love money. I'll show you what this love money looks like. I have a friend of mine that makes origami money. And so I have her make me origami money. So when somebody's at the side of the road, I give them a love. And so here's a love $5 bill. How many gallons of blood does the heart pump each day? Does anybody know? How many gallons? Who's closest? It's just guessing. 72 gallons. 500 gallons. That's a lot. Nobody's getting any money?
50.
32. 2,000 gallons a day.
Oh my.
All right, you're broke. We'll save it to somebody else. But think about it, 2,000 gallons a day. That's crazy. Now, do you feel it all moving around? Every 4 months you have new blood. So where's the old blood going? Every 4 months you have new blood. Where's the old blood? Every 10 to 15 minutes you have a new stomach line. So why do people have ulcers? Every 6 weeks you have a new liver. Why is the liver donor list 2 years long? See what's wrong here? So if the body's regenerating and this wisdom inside of us is doing its job, we should die of old age, not of a condition. But we're not perfect. Trust me, we're not perfect. Even when I see the mirror, I still tell myself I'm not perfect. And so when I think of that, everything happens through our nervous system. Thank God. We all have that. And so I put dimes on the table as a reminder. There's a stack of dimes there. And if literally this dime, as you take this as a reminder, if a dime is sitting on a nerve, it will shut off that nerve by 60%. A dime. So people go, boy, I really feel out here. Oh, this is really off here. You can't feel that because our sensory nerves are not in our brain and spinal cord. Christopher Reeve, when he broke his neck, there was no pain. We don't have, when they have to do brain surgery, they cut the skull, pull that off, you're conscious. They're laying down and they're talking to you while they're poking on your brain because you don't have any sensory nerves. Our sensory nerves are outside of us. Our brain and spinal cord doesn't have any. So when people go, yeah, I really feel off here, you can't feel that. But the weight of a dime shut off normal nerve impulses from the brain to the body. So imagine, everybody watch America's Funniest Home Videos? It's not too funny, at least to me, because I know what's happening to their nervous system. You ever do it? I've done plenty of stupid stuff in my life, right? We're boys, we do dumb things. And so I grew up downtown Chicago. We used to have garbage cans with 50-gallon drums, the steel drums. We used to have those, they used to roll those things. We used to light them on fire and then take a board and put it up to it and Evel Knievel it and jump through the fire on our bicycles, right? And we would do this stupid things. We're boys. Some days you wasn't going fast enough and your front tire would get caught in that bucket and you fall over. You're not going to tell mom because mom would laugh. Oh, not good. And so when you think about the dumb things, I want to share some things that happened that caused my spine to kink out of position. And so this is really interesting. Look at this dissection. We all have this. And so this is the back side, cut open, opened up. That's what we look like. It's craziness. I've done 32 dissections for 2 years of studying this kind of brain and spinal cord, and it's absolutely amazing. And no two nerves are the same. We all have nerves that travel out of our spine. We do. Heck, we were all this big at one time. I promise. Right, so there we are, and we're just doing great. Shh, right, everything's good. We feed you, you poop, you go live your life. You're just doing your thing. But again, how did I end up this big? Something is in control of that. I wasn't. Remember, I was still thinking about my fingerprint. So something's in control of that. And so something's in control of that. It's the brainstem. When the sperm and the egg united, the first areas formed is the brainstem, then the brain, then the spinal cord. Life started here. How do I know? Consciousness starts there. Our breathing is there. Our digestion's there. All of it's here. Your vitals are here. So why wouldn't they check that? You should check. Every doctor should check that, including every chiropractor I know should check it. Every physical therapist. There is a gauge. So I had a gauge that I run up your spine. I think I've got some pretty pictures of it. Oh, has anybody ever said you're not level-headed? So I want to tell this story because I didn't take a snapshot. You used to see everybody. Everybody's just sitting strange. We all are. But when the head pulls out of position, if I fall, bump, whatever, I've had 8 car accidents. I used to skateboard, broke my nose, broke my neck 3 years ago in a half pipe. We just do stuff, right? We do, to one degree or the other. How many times you see a little one crawling and they hold on to the coffee table and they're like, oh, they're standing. And they hit their head or they fall on their rear. It all happens. We're human. But why wouldn't you have that spine check so they develop the right way? My daughter's here, and when my daughter was born, here I am, catching. I got her, I wipe her off, I take that scanning instrument, and I scan her spine. I want to know neurologically she's good going into this one. And she was. She's a rock star. And so when I see this, my hip hurts. You ever notice you say when my hip hurts, it's one hip? You know when people have breast cancer, it's one breast, not both? Testicular cancer, it's one testicle, not both? Gosh, my one knee is just rocking right now. This one's fine. Someone's got to look at this one. This is why. And so when the head pulls out of position, the eyes are not level at the horizon, and the fluid from the brain to the body, there's a kink, there's a damming of the nerve system. So the brain says, hey, body, fix me. The body says, okay. So my head's straight because my eyes have to be level at the horizon, but I have a short leg. So I don't walk around like Travolta, right? That's another joke. So what do? Joke, tough crowd. So I have a short leg, and what do? I compensate. So I have 2 scales at the office. Real simple. One scale. Most houses don't have 2. But you take one scale, step on the scales, look straight, and then slowly look down and go, holy cow. I started with a lady the other day. My knee and hip is bothering me. I've got disc issues. I've got reflux. I have heart palpitations, and I have vomiting migraines. Okay, I put her on the scales. Excuse me. One foot. She's 19 pounds heavier on one hip. So when she's walking, I'm walking 19 pounds heavier. And gosh, my one hip is driving me crazy. That's why. So that's a structural issue. But it's only doing that because it's compensating for what's going on above. It's like a snake. Wherever the snake moves its head, the body follows. It's the same thing with our spine. All nerves meet here. And so when they said, if you're not level-headed, how do you know if you're not level-headed? I'm 5. And 4, 5, and I'm running towards this death trap. You guys ever seen one of these, right? It is a death trap. It's like cotton candy machine for humans. And so anyway, so I'm running. My grandma's like, Eddie, stop, Eddie. And I'm going, and the big kids are going, whipping this thing. The kids are going, right? You're flying off. Right? It happens. And it's so cool. Where am I flying? So I go, and I leap while it's spinning. And that bar slams me in the face, and still, no air. No air. So I shattered my nose and the whole septum folded, my nose folded over. And so what did they do? Eddie's on the ground bleeding like crazy. Grandma picks me up. Shh, shh. Why do we tell him to shush? It hurts. Right? So anyway, so we're just, shh. Okay, she wipes me off. She's holding me. Wipes me off. Put a little ice on your nose. Okay, stop bleeding. Go play, Eddie. I played sports my whole life. Little Billy rounds first base, twisted his ankle. Oh my gosh, they put ice on it. I don't know why we do that. So you put ice on it, and then you put him down, and he sits down. He's got ice, rested, elevated. And he goes back into place in the fourth inning, causing more damage because the ice numbed the nerve. Why would you do that? Because these are the traumas that we have. And again, this was just one of mine. I've had a car accident. I can sit down with you and do a health history with you. I'll find 10 to 15 things that you did. It's crazy. You ever find people sleeping on their stomach? Don't sleep on your stomach. Dumb. Head turns. You ever notice when you do this, your leg goes up? Like, why's your leg going up? Why would the leg go up? Because when the head moves, the hips move. Every time. You should sleep this way, or you should sleep this way. On your side, or on your back. Never on your stomach, because what you do is you're wringing out a rag, and stomach sleepers are irritable. They wake up in the morning, I need my coffee, get away from me. Right? What happens is they're cutting off oxygen to the brain. Because we have an artery, a small artery that goes through the neck. And if I'm face down, I don't sleep this way, I turn my head and I kink that artery. And that artery is cutting off oxygen to the brain, and you're living a not so good life. All right, so I'm going to ask you a question. This will be interesting. Everybody stand up. This is a lot of fun. I do this to my patients. They think I'm crazy. We are all now in third grade. All of us in third grade, you're at my house, we're having a sleepover. We're all brushing our teeth. So some kids, when you brush your teeth, rare, there's a water fountain, like this kiddo. There's one, and you take your hands and rinse. Kids don't do that. Kids do this. So if you imagined a water fountain in front of you right now, which side would you go to? Would you go that way, or would you go this way? Everybody's going to pick a different one. It's 50-50. I would always go this way. Oh, it's going straight down. So you're coming this way. Here's the fountain. You're going this way. If I get water, am I getting water? You're going to find one side's going to be more comfortable to turn to. This is really easy for me. Now, even when I turn my head, watch one. I'll do it this way. My top vertebrae, when I go out of adjustment, my vertebrae slides that way. When I turn, I'll turn to the side of misalignment. It jams it. Watch. I turn. Look at my nose. So far I can turn. That's as hard as I can go. Ready? That's craziness. And that's because my spine has been so used to being this way for 20 years of my life, it developed an abnormal mold. So did all of yours. So when you pick a side, this side or this side, why would one side be easier? Because you're not level-headed. And the rest of the body's compensating. Thank you. You sit down. So I do this with patients. I'll walk them on over. I said, take a drink of water. If you were having a third grade, they're like, what's wrong with this guy right now? It's like, this is part of the exam. So this is why it's really important to understand when I talk about infrared thermography, never do I go, boy, you're really out over here. That feels out. Do you ever hear anybody ever say that? That's the craziest thing to me. So let's just say I feel out. Whatever technique, whatever they do, how they manipulate the spine or adjust it in any way, when they do that, if you've ever seen a chiropractor or a physical therapist, they do manipulations now. When they do that, when they got it to pop, how do they know it's in? You don't check it afterwards. If I take your blood pressure, I'm a medical doctor now. I take your blood pressure, wow, that's high. I'm going to write you a script. Come back in 2 weeks. Come back in 2 weeks, you've been taking your medicine? I have. So you take the medicine, good. Let's check your blood pressure. Wow, it's lower. Stay on the meds. If you stop taking the blood pressure med, what happens? It goes right back up. So it's not fixing the problem, as we know. However, they have a gauge. There's got to be a gauge. So the profession I'm in, God bless us, I mean, I'm a little bit of thorn in their side if you can't tell. And because I ask, there's a science, philosophy, and art. The science is the power that made the body can heal the body. The art is how you adjust the spine in your own artistic, beautiful way. But the science, there needs to be a spinal gauge. And there is one. And it's so important that I co-authored a book, Infrared Thermography. No, this isn't for you guys. But it's a textbook for doctors. And this actually just went out to print last week. And so now that I've got another book and different things, there's technology and science behind chiropractic. I'm not going to mention any other places, but there's franchises in the profession I'm in that there's no exams. You walk on in, lay face down, lay down, they're kickstarting Harleys, right? You're laying beside, bam. And they do it. I'm like, what are you doing to people? We live in here. It's a really big deal. But I want to get back to the two thoughts. The brain that's keeping us alive and the one that we think with. This is cool. I love this little talk that we'll do here. So this is what the scan looks like. So when I run this scan on your spine, I want to know, do you have neurologic compromise on one side over the other? I want all green. And if it's showing me heat, if you will, because electrical signals are firing down your spinal cord, and if you're having a compromise of electricity, a byproduct's always heat. Lightning comes out of the sky and hits the ground, it creates a fire. Why? Because there's electricity in the lightning bolt. You stop the electricity, you get heat. You get heat. So it's the same thing. So when I run this up the spine, it lets me know, as your doctor, do you or do you not have some sort of issue? And so the vagus nerve, it's a really big deal, this vagus nerve, and this is one of the ones that keeps you alive, believe it or not, because of the 12 cranial nerves, the vagus nerve, number 5, branches off of the side of the brainstem and goes and takes a ride. And it takes a ride off of the brainstem and tells all of these organs what to do. And so there's, like I said, there's 12 cranial nerves and they all have a job and a task, but this one is a big deal. And what's interesting is as it branches off of the brain, it tells the heart, the lung, the liver, the kidneys, the spleen. It tells everybody what to do and how to do it. And so when I look at this, we have to think about our thoughts and emotions affect the bacteria in our colon. How are thoughts affecting my colon? How do they? When I get nervous, when I get upset about something, I have diarrhea. Some people have heart palpitations. Some people get a rash. Some people break out in a sweat. Everybody's different. We'll have a different reaction to stress. But 90% of our serotonin levels are in our brain. Serotonin affects our emotion. So the serotonin in the brain, our colon's got 90%. They used to say, oh, the brain has all the serotonin. No, it doesn't. Serotonin's here. Serotonin's in our gut. They used to say, oh, there's serotonin in our brain. We need to take an SSRI and affect your brain. It's being made here. So the brain tells the body, and the body tells the brain, like a big safety pin. They're all buddies. We all get along. At least should, as long as the pathway's there. And so this is why we have to understand, if the brain's telling the body, then the body's telling the brain. How do I know? You're talking to somebody, you're hanging out, you're at a networking event, things are good, and you're like, oh crap, I gotta go to the bathroom. It hits you. Like, how do you know when you have to go pee? How do you know? You feel it. What do you feel? Discomfort. How? Why? It's filling up your bladder. How does your brain feel that? The bladder's filling, has a little nerve, it goes, hey, hello, pain, hi, you wanna move? Let's go, we gotta empty this thing. We don't think about that. It's telling us what to do and how to do it. Oh, I'm freezing right now, shivering. Why are you shivering? Because that's a natural response to the body trying to warm up. Holy cow, it's hot out, I'm soaking wet, sweat. That's a natural response for the body to cool off. You're not thinking about that, something is. And so this is why when I think about the little things, I always say, shh, your body's listening. It's always listening. And so have you guys ever heard of the Japanese Emoto study, Dr. Emoto? And so some people have, some haven't. And I put the piece of paper down, and it might be face down, but there's a piece of paper there with this Emoto study. And you can see this piece of paper here, and you pass it around. So what this gentleman did, and this is to prove my thoughts how shh, the body's listening, is he took some water, filled up the water in a little container, doesn't matter where he got it, takes a drop, puts it in a microscope, takes a peek at it, and go, wow, that's cool. And so then he decided to put a piece of tape on the water, and then write down, like here, I wrote, I am loved, I am well, thank you. And so I wrote it down on there, and so you write it down, and so he writes it down, takes the drop, puts it down in the microscope, and looks at it, and goes, oh, whoa. That's probably what he said, right? He's Japanese. So anyway, so he looks at it, right? And so he's looking at this thing, and he's like, wow, let's change this. Same water, takes that off, puts a new one on. You fool. And you can see what it looks like. The same water is changing its constellation by writing it on a bottle. Craziness. We're 80% water. And if our water's alive, that water's not so alive. We try to make it alive. We put stuff in it. Dude, it's good for you. You should buy it. We try to make it alive and have it nutritional, but our water is alive. We're 82% water. When you get cremated, you go in a little jar. How is that possible? Because we're mostly water. So when I think of that, if we're mostly water, and water changes with thoughts, it's really important what you're saying to yourself. Because water is the only substance that has a memory in our body. And that's what this guy proved. It was really cool. Thoughts are always things. I'm going to fail that test tomorrow. She'll never go out with me. There's no way I'll get that job. Why do we speak that way? It's listening. Every time I eat that, I get sick. Cold and flu season's coming. Mom has cancer, dad has diabetes, I'll probably get it. Would you quit your stinking thinking, right? Shush. But we do that. Versus, my grandma would always say, Eddie, do you ever have a bad day? Yeah, but I'm not going to tell you. But what do we do on social media? My life sucks. Please, somebody like my post. We're looking for this. Somebody, I need prayer right now of this, this, and this. So now what happens is when you start speaking the things that are wrong with you, they see you as, hey, how's that thing? Can I help you with that thing? I know somebody can help you with that thing. Versus seeing me. You see me as a thing. He has this. He's got diabetes. He's got cancer. He's broke. You got to give him some money. It doesn't matter what it is. We all know those people because we are those people. We speak stuff, including me. I watch myself all the time. I get put in check. My kids hear me all the time. Like, here goes Dad, right? We're playing music in the car. What is that? We're just kind of chilling in the car. And we're just laughing and giggling and talking. And I always want to know, are you good? Like, I have a patient of mine. She always says, hey, what are you celebrating today? Why don't we celebrate the little things? Because our body's listening. And so my mother had passed last year, and she was in dementia. My father had a bunch of stuff and this and that. That's what they had. They live a very different life. And so Bruce Lipton talked this really cool talk, this biology of belief. It's a really neat talk. It's free on YouTube. And it's how your thoughts change your DNA. It's the coolest thing in the world. And so if that's the case, then I don't live my parents' life. Nothing's wrong, Mom and Dad, but that was their life. This is Eddie's life. And you'll never look like me. And I'll never look like you. It's so cool. And so therefore, just be the best versions of you. So how do you do that? The way I do that is we definitely go about shifting our thinking. But when I talk about shifting our thinking, oh, cursor's flying. Maybe I turn that on. So here I am. God bless my daughter. She's over there. And she likes soup. And so I'm doing dishes because I'm a little particular. I hate dishes in the sink. It drives me crazy. So anyway, so I'm like, oh, it's lunchtime. Kids are out. There's dishes. Oh, here's Mia's thermos. She remembers this. And so I cannot unscrew this darn thermos. I am having a moment. And I'm not the biggest dude in the world, but I'm like, so I put it down. I talk to everything, right? I put it down and says, I'm going to see you in a minute with some channel locks. Right? So I'm going to go in the garage and get something to open this up. In the meantime, I put it down, washing dishes. Bam! Thermos explodes. The cap comes off, hits me square in the face, splits my face wide open, and I drop to the floor. And I'm like, yeah, I didn't laugh. But yeah, it was
I knew you were going to say that because I've had it happen.
Really? Oh, it's. I have a lawsuit with them. No, I don't. So what happens is, so I'm on the floor. I'm like, you good? You good, Eddie? You good? You good? Yeah, you're good. I'm starring it right now. Right? I'm seeing stars everywhere. And I'm like, what is going on my spine? Because whack, scares the crap out of you. I'm having a reaction, right? And it's rocking. All my clean dishes are getting blood over them. So I'm getting the water and rinsing it off. And then you start to think, why me? Why'd that happen to me? What did I do wrong? My life sucks. I'm getting punished. Enemies coming after me. Whatever excuse you want to give yourself. And life just happens. And then how do you go about making that shift? And then I sit there and I'm like wiping this off. I get, oh my gosh, I'm like, so I'm wiping it off. I'm sitting on the couch. My dog's looking at me like, what's wrong with you, dude? I'm like, I got this egg on my forehead, right? So I'm just chilling. And I go, thank you. Gosh, thank you. That it wasn't her. I'll take that hit. That it wasn't my daughter. What if it was her having that soup? And then she comes home with that. And I'm like, man, thank you. But see how that shifted? Even in this room, as I just said that to you, everybody felt that shift. But that's the shift of woe is me versus thankful. Life is happening for me, not to me. And so if it's happening for you, how do you want to go about through that? And so when I raise her the best way I can, so I can be goofy dad, like we floss and we dance, right? We do our things. But again, I just want to be me. When that happens, I do it again. Wouldn't you do it again? I do it again. And knowing that it would come, and I'm doing it again. And so that's the shifting of thinking instead of, man, like my grandma would say, Eddie, did you ever have a bad day? Yeah, I'm not going to tell you, but my glass is always full, Grandma. I just put it in a different cup. Because right now it's raining outside. People are like, man, the rain sucks. I wish it was a nicer day. Yeah, the sun is shining above the clouds, I promise. It will pass. And so you can be a cow, if you've ever heard that story, but when it comes and rains and the cows are like, oh, they all get together and they all huddle over a tree and they just sit there. And what do the buffalo do? Buffalo charge right at the storm. And they go running right at it because they know when they go running at it, they're going to get through it faster.
First, yep.
It's
Just-
true.
I just read that the other day.
So this is why when I think of, I'm on the golf course, my son's an avid golfer, he plays the junior PGA, and I caddy a bunch. And so I'm walking the golf course, I'm like, oh, he's like, what, Dad? I go, look at this. He goes, oh, what, Dad? Because he knows there's another teaching moment coming, right? So we're having a moment. I'm like, go ahead, Liam, go play golf. And I'm like, I take a picture of this, and I go, the outside of the tree looked beautiful. But if something happened to this tree, it's why they cut it down. But that's sickness. The sickness comes from the inside, not the outside. We're so think germs get you sick. No, they don't. Master's going to keep me healthy. No, it won't. Right? Our immune system will deal with everything that's going on. It knows what to do and how to do it. And so when I see this tree, like sickness, how long did it take for that tree to erode? A long time. And so it's the same thing with us. All processes take time. And if all processes take time, what are you doing right now with your time so your process is changing your future? And so when I see this and I go in gratitude, I was up in Jersey speaking and I was like, I wasn't grateful. I'm like, gosh, I have a proper functioning nervous system. I got scanned. I'm neurologically sound. And I'm on the beach enjoying the sun as it's coming up in my face right now. I'm just going, just thank you. And I think if everybody walked the earth a little bit, I'm not saying you need to be me, but holy cow, our world would be a better place. We just sat in gratitude. And so on your table, I have a little piece of paper up there with a Sharpie. You should have a masking tape with a Sharpie somewhere on your table. And it's a really cool feeling is you take that tape, and you don't just take a piece of tape, put it on your water cup, glass, whatever that is, and write a word. Love you, grateful, abundant. It doesn't matter, but put it on there and just feel the difference. This is where grace comes in, by the way. You know when you sit down and you start praying? This is what it is. You're just grateful for the things that you have and what you have, and your body will respond to that. I proved it to you with the water chart. And so that's happening. What's happening right now that you don't know? So anyway, I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.
Good seeing.
Got a bone to pick with you.
All right, you guys. I hope you have a great night tomorrow. Breakfast at 7 again here if you'd like. We start at 8 o'clock. Enjoy, and I hope you enjoyed today. Tomorrow's going to be even more amazing. Have a good night. Oh, do me a favor really quick because I am the cleaning crew. If you have trash around, you pick it up and throw it out before you leave so I don't have to stay and do it.